Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast day, we have an all-pundit show going with Mary Lau, Alexander Marks, and Lindsay Knox for the whole show on all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up to date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have an all-pundit show going today with Mary Lau, President and CEO of the Retail Association of Nevada, Alexander Marks, NSEA Political Coordinator, which is the Nevada State Education Association, and Lindsay Knox is Policy Director for McDonald, Carano, Wilson. Lindsay, I'm going to start out with you here. You've got a couple of young kids. What are your concerns about kids getting back into school and getting back into activities?
Oh, just that it doesn't happen soon enough, honestly. We have actually done distance learning. We're very blessed to have one at home and me here at the office. So my 7-year-old has done distance learning and she loved it at first, and now she's ready to get back with her friends. But we're thrilled to get softball up and running here. I think it is so important for our kids and their mental health to get back on the field or in the courtroom, and they just need to go and have fun. So I don't really have a whole lot of concerns, and we're getting vaccinated, and please just get them playing sports, get them back in school, and that's what I want to see.
Mary, it seems in a lot of conversations we've had on the program that the mental health of the kids balanced against concerns about coronavirus are greater in terms of the mental health. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It's terribly difficult on the kids because they don't have any outlets. And I like Lindsay's idea. Let them get out, let them play, let them have the sports back and everything. And I could be entirely wrong. Alex can correct me on this one, but I think it was more the concern by the teachers and for getting the kids back in the classroom, because the kids have never been spreaders. But it's a very deep concern on the emotional health of the children because they need socializing. They need that companionship. We're tribal people, let's face it, and kids can work out some of their issues, sometimes a little grouchy, in the playgrounds and stuff and the classroom, and get good help, you know.
Alexander, what's the thought at this point of the union your position with the governor and with the school districts, because at this point, Clark County School District, as we're taping this on February 22nd, is still not open for in-class learning. So what's the union's position at this point?
Well, I'm glad you phrased it like that, because the one thing we're always kind of dispelling is that schools are open. It's the buildings that have been closed. Learning is happening, kids are learning, teachers are teaching, educators are educating. That's one talking point that we're kind of glad to dispel. So I'm glad you phrased it that way. But I think our position is that we've consistently raised concerns that the districts lack the resources to follow some of the recommendations to safely open and operate buildings during the pandemic. That's one reason we've always advocated for additional resources for school counselors, social workers, psychologists. Like Lindsay and Mary have already said, I mean, we have to meet the mental health issues and needs of our students, but this is not something new. We've had these issues before a pandemic. We're going to have them long after a pandemic. I think if you talk to most educators, they're glad that we're talking about the issue, but we haven't really done a whole lot to solve the issue prior to a pandemic. So it's great that they're at the forefront, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that we are helping and meeting the needs of our students. But these were issues that existed long before a pandemic even began.
Lindsay, it's interesting Alexander put it that way, because I've been doing these kind of broadcasts now for pretty much 40 years. And from the very first programs I ever did, mental health was one of the biggest issues that came up on local news, let alone anywhere else. And here we are 40 years later, and we're still talking about it. But we don't have the counselors available, do we, to be able to fulfill the need?
No, we don't. And I think that's going to be one of our biggest issues moving forward, is not having those numbers. Waiting lists are outrageous, even for adults. Don't even consider the kids yet. So then you think about insurance coverage, and insurance is not having contracts, another big issue. But getting people into schools, to me, is going to be the most important thing. And I think everybody's going to have to come together and figure out a solution, because our kids can't. They're not going to be able to maintain. We have a very, very structured house, and there's an impact on my 7-year-old. So I see it. She's still very happy, but it's a challenge for her, and for these kids that don't have those types of homes, the impact's going to be even greater. So the state really, along with local government, is really going to have to step up to bring in these resources, whether it's doing something similar to what Reno has done and looking outstate to kind of bring in maybe that virtual component. I don't know, but we have to make it a priority for our kids.
Mary, over the weekend, I don't know why this struck me, but we have gone through all kinds of crises in this country, as every country does. And we went through a couple of world wars, Korea, Vietnam. And so we had issues coming out of all of those situations. Are they comparable in any way to what we're dealing with coronavirus, or is this just a whole new way that we have to look at things?
The problem is that we never handled those issues during the world wars and then during Vietnam and stuff like that. I mean, we called it shell shock for a long time. A lot of our men came back and they weren't treated properly, going along with mental health and stuff like this, or even recognition. And so it compounded, and these wounded people were raising wounded children, so to speak. And so our mental health, I think, is metastasized everywhere, to the point where we really, really have to start paying attention to it. We really have to start helping people and sort of bringing society back together. I'll go back on my little diatribe here. There's too much anger, there's too much snarkiness. This texting, tweeting, all this other stuff allows you to be your worst component of yourself instead of your highest version of yourself. And it just feeds into that. So no, I don't think we have done that. And we don't want our kids to end up being microdosed just to come out of where they were at. We want our children in healthy, happy, bonded homes. Wherever the love is, that's where the kids need to be. And then help them nurture through it. Our teachers shouldn't have to be the parents of our kids, and they should be able to reflect to the parents what they see in the problems and then go from there. But we got some societal issues here going down, and our teachers are forced to do a lot of stuff that really should be done at home.
And Alexandra, I'm going to throw that to you because obviously that has been a big concern for many years now. The teachers are being asked to do everything from babysitting to psychologist to best friend to overseer in all kinds of social areas beyond teaching.
They do it all. Whether you're a teacher or an education support professional, another licensed professional, they are tasked with doing so much with less and less each year. That's a huge problem. I think one of our primary issues, I think, heading into the legislative session was, are we trying to reopen because you want them to be babysitters, or you want them to reopen because hybrid is not necessarily the best replacement for in-person instruction? Now, certainly certain kids have thrived under that instructional model, which is fine. We can, continue that on after we all reopen in person for our buildings rather. But I think, we'd actually submitted a very nice op-ed that educators are not babysitters. That is not their jobs. Their job is to educate. They are not there to watch your kid for 6 to 8 hours so mom and dad can go to work. Certainly, in-person instruction allows for that, but that shouldn't be the reason we are pushing for in-person learning in a school building. There's other concerns out there that would result in that happening if in-person instruction, but educators are not just relegated to being babysitters. So I'm happy to hear Mary say that. I mean, I think that's an important mindset of why does an educator get into this field? It's to bring up the next generation, or, whether it doesn't matter what they do in the field of education or public education, they're not babysitters. And I think that it needs to be something that is highlighted over and over again after this pandemic.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with this terrific panel after this timeout.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed. Now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
Enjoy exceptional value and a comfortable atmosphere at Reno's newest steakhouse, Nevada Steak.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Kenny! Dad? What are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow! This stuff is great! People are gonna love it!
Yes. Yes, they will.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have an all Pundits show going with a great lineup. Mary Lau is here, Alexander Marks, and Lindsay Knox. Lindsay, when you look at the legislature and the budgeting process at this point in time, is it all based on the potential of the $1.9 trillion coming through and that money being funneled down to the state?
I think a lot of it is. I'm sure that there is a backup in case. We can't rely on the feds, but we've seen things, stimulus checks not being the amount that they suggested it was going to be. So I'm sure that, Governor Sisolak and his staff do have a backup plan, but I would imagine that those funds from the feds are a large part of why the budget looks the way it does.
Mary, and this comes into your retail analysis. I believe it was either the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal over the weekend posted a big story on the boom that's coming because if you dump another $1.9 trillion into this economy and people get vaccinated, then all of a sudden there's a lot of people who are going to be heading out the door with a lot of money in their pocket to spend.
Well, They are and they aren't. I mean, I agree with Leslie. The money may not come through the way it is, but it's also how is it budgeted properly? Because if you take that money and allocate it to one shots only, like making unemployment insurance whole, make Dieter whole, don't make employers pay back something they had nothing to do with. That's one part of the puzzle, because you have to have jobs to have people to go back and spend money from. If they get a $2,000 check from the government and blow it on a new refrigerator, they're in the same spot that they were in. And yes, retail is looking forward to accommodate them. That's, absolutely. The supply chain will be able to gear up for that and things, but you still have to have common sense. I don't care who handles you a bundle of money. If you turn around and blow it, you're done. So you can't bail your way out of things by borrowing money. You bail your way out by being prudent and planning for the future.
But I guess my point is, and I think this was the point of the article, was that a lot of people have saved the money. There are people who are in trouble, but there are also a lot of people, the majority, who are not in trouble, and they've taken these government payments and put them in the bank. And so they have cash to spend. They have cash to spend on retail, vacations, travel, all kinds of things.
I think the travel is very important, and I think that's going to happen and come back quickly. And yes, there will be spending money on retail, but and people, I realize they're saving it, quote unquote, but they haven't been able to get their unemployment. So it's like, you don't want to just blow it and then not have a backup plan. So that 600 they got before, 1,200, depending on what you had, and then add kids and stuff. All of that can go so quickly that, yes, there will be some spending increases, there will be everything, but then reality still has to set in, Sam. I mean, we're going to have a boom, but you're not going to walk back into your, highly tipped job or something. It's going to be a gradual thing. And then you've got people like Fauci that are saying you're going to be wearing masks into 2020 and all this other stuff. So people are going to take and sit back and see a brave new world and see how this changes. And yes, I'm not arguing you that there's not going to be spending. I'm just saying that there should be cautious spending too.
And no disagreements there, but Alexander, when Kenny Gwynn raised taxes too much and everybody got a $300 rebate from the DMV, the casinos had the biggest month they'd ever had from local spending.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, to kind of mention 2 points, I think the federal emergency relief that we're either from CARES Plus or whatever from the Biden administration, these are just temporary patches. There's probably going to be restrictions on some of the funds. And like Lindsay said, we don't know if those funds will actually get to where they did. My brother's still waiting on his second stimulus check. So, I mean, there's going to be those types of issues, I think, from whatever rollout we get from a second. I don't have enough data to say there's going to be or not going to be a boom. I mean, just from our own membership, I mean, we have thousands of education support professionals, for instance, who are not eligible for unemployment insurance in the summer months. If they're getting anything from the federal government, that's going right to their bills. That would not be a stimulus. That's going to pay off either mortgages that they couldn't pay last summer. We're currently working on hopefully a fix with Dieter and the school district so that they would at least be eligible this summer, if nothing else. But, I think those are the considerations from the education world are, if they're getting anything from the government and it's a stimulus, it's probably going to go towards bills, and we're not sure it's going to go towards retail or goods and services because, our members have been struggling under the economy and they're looking forward to more struggle this summer, not looking forward to struggle, but, in terms of foreseeing what's going to happen this summer, the jobs that an ESP might work for, they go get part-time work in the summer. We don't think that work is going to be there. So I think that's going to be a huge concern for us moving forward.
So Lindsay, I'm looking for a little optimism, a little sunshine here. I'm not getting it from these two. There's billions of dollars that haven't been spent from the funding that was allotted already, and throwing another $1.9 trillion into the pot here is going to stimulate something.
I think it's going to stimulate something, but like Alexander said, it's Band-Aid. And if we don't budget properly going into 2023, we're going to have a hole. So we have to be extremely smart in the way that we spend those dollars. Can it really boost things up to maybe help our economy? Yes. But again, it's a Band-Aid fix. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems that we have in the state is we're really good with Band-Aid fixes. And we have to get away from that model and really look at the core of the issue and start building an economy and a tax base that does not create a Band-Aid that actually creates fix.
All right, let's take another break.
Sam, that is not, sunshine, but I think that is our unfortunate reality.
Well, my stock in Band-Aids just went up, so that's probably a good thing. Stand by, you guys. We'll come back with more right after this timeout.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed. Now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Come visit Design Outdoor's store and backyard to see our wide selection of fire pits, barbecues, and pizza ovens, natural stone water features and fountains, and frost-proof pottery. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Can't do it. Stupid, like my mom.
We can't do anything at Mommy's because you won't pay child support.
Dad said you cheated, and he's not even sure he's my dad.
Mommy said you left both of us, so she isn't gonna let me see you. I look just like my father.
I'm divorce attorney Marilyn York, and I may represent men, but hate has no gender, only casualties. Please, stop sacrificing your children in your war against your ex.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
Get in on the action at the Tamarack Casino and win your share of $100,000 guaranteed. Now through February 27th, plus 5 times points every Friday. $100,000 guaranteed at Tamarack Casino. Your good times are at Tamarack.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And we have an all-pundit show going here on Nevada Newsmakers with Mary Lau, the president and CEO of the Retail Association of Nevada, Lindsay Knox, policy director for McDonald, Carano, Wilson, and Alexander Marks, who is the political coordinator for the Nevada State Education Association. All right, so then after this last segment, where should the funding go if we get funding that isn't considered a Band-Aid?
I think it has to go to education. I know that's shocking for you to hear from me, but we have
but where? Be more specific.
Well, so we're working with various stakeholders on the new pupil-centered funding plan. We think there's serious policy concerns with that, and you can find the interview we did 2 years ago for all of those. They still exist. But the governor is currently proposing a phase-in of this new plan, which we would fight back on because there's certain things about local revenues being excluded from this plan. If they do that, we don't honestly know the implications of what happens with that. Under the Nevada Constitution, the state has to provide a basic support guarantee for every student. But under this phased-in approach, local revenues would be excluded. So that's problematic. I think the reason they're doing that is because the state is out of money. If the state had money, that would be a great place to put it so that we're not hurting local school districts. And I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but if you take away the guarantee, which brings it to just under $3,000, that's problematic. That's almost half of what it was. So I think that would be a good place to start. Again, there's a million places you could put money if you have it. We just don't have it.
Mary, we're running out of time, so I have to flip to Mary here if I can. Mary, your response to that?
To Alex? Sam?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Well, basically, I can agree with part of that as long as it doesn't go direct to wages, because wages aren't going to improve where our children are learning. And the programs and stuff that they referred to, absolutely. Ways, you know, the governor's taken the fence off a lot of things, and now it's part of collective bargaining again. But let's get the schools in the position where everybody can do their job. Do they need IT? What do our kids need? That kind of stuff. More than happy. Spend it all there after you make UI whole and stuff like this. You know, I mean, speaking for my members, they shouldn't have to try to pay back this mess. But the schools, what they critically need in order to make the teachers' jobs easier, that's important.
And Leslie, you've got the last 20 seconds. You get the last word here.
So I would say, yes, education, but I would also go into the UI as well. I agree with Mary. That has to be, you know, brought back up to the levels it was before, maybe a little bit of cushion in case something like this ever happened again. But I think between education and UI is really where those funds need to go.
And that's where we have to leave it. Thank you all very much. This was a terrific conversation. I really appreciate it. And we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions, and all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.